Detroit core values are with me every single day.
I've learned that you can be successful, but also be ethical at the same time.
Leadership, ethical values, how to be a professional. Rockhurst has helped me become the person that I am today.
Rockhurst University in Kansas City, where you'll gain a global perspective from the heart of the Midwest, where over 25,000 successful alumni call home. Rockhurst, Kansas City's Jesuit University, where leaders learn. Come to Rockhurst University, where you'll be challenged academically, where you'll grow in character and in conscience, where small class sizes, caring professors, and a tight-knit community feel like home. Rockhurst University, where leaders learn.
The NSCAA convention to me is probably the best place to get any sort of education of a wide variety that you can go in the world.
Always nice to see who you wander across in the hallways, might have a quick word with.
So I think it's exciting to meet youth coaches and high school coaches and even college coaches who are all really passionate about the sport.
It's a learning experience. I think it's invaluable both from a coach standpoint and from an administrative standpoint.
Each year, the NSCAA puts over 7,000 coaches through our coaching education program. Youth, high school, and college coaches at all levels participate in the diploma courses. No matter where you are in your coaching path, we have something for you. Join your peers and get educated. Better coaching, better players, better game. NSCAA Coaching Academy. Improving soccer, one coach at a time. Register today at nscaa.com/education.
Welcome to the 2014 NSCAA Game of the Week presented by Turbo Sports. Tonight we return to the Show Me State and the Great Lakes Valley Conference for a Friday night showdown in Kansas City. It's the 5-2 Rockhurst Hawks and the 9-0 Quincy Hawks coming to you live on NSCAA TV. Good evening, everybody. I'm Matt Digby. Todd Panula will join me in just a minute. This is set to be a fun matchup between two teams who are both nicknamed the Hawks. And it's a matchup that has been steeped in history. Case in point, last year, Quincy hosted the Great Lakes Valley Conference tournament. Rockhurst won it, and they beat QU to get to the championship game. The final score in that tournament semifinal, 2-1, advantage Rockhurst. The Rockhurst Hawks would go on to the NCAA Division II national semifinals before losing to the eventual national champion, Southern New Hampshire. Just a couple minutes ago, we were able to speak with both head coaches. From Rockhurst, Tony Tocco, in his 44th season, he has the second most wins all time with 640 career victories in his career at Rockhurst. Only Jay Martin from Ohio Wesleyan has more. And we will also speak with the third-year head coach at Quincy, Mike Carpenter. He was a former goalkeeper for the Hawks from Western Illinois. Let's take a look at those interviews right now. Again, this is Quincy and Rockhurst on the NSCAA Game of the Week presented by Turbo Sports. Friday night showdown in the Great Lakes Valley Conference. Welcome to Kansas City and this NSCAA broadcast of Rockhurst versus Quincy. I'm Matt Digby, joined by Tony Tocco and Giorgio Antongeramoli from Rockhurst University. And Coach, you guys coming off a 4-0 win over Maryville. What exactly were some of the positives that stuck out to you coming off your last win?
We scored. that was very, very positive. We've been getting our opportunities, but we've been very unfortunate and haven't been putting the ball in the net. So I mean, it allows you to relax a little bit and just play your game instead of putting pressure on the team to get the first goal and maybe even the second one when you're ahead 4-0. You know, you just play a lot easier, and you can also rest a couple people too.
That game coming on the road, as well as many of your wins. This is only your third game at home of the regular season. What do you think the environment's going to be like, the fact that you've been on the road for so long?
I think our kids be really looking forward to at least being at home. You know, basically we've got 2 losses, 1 on the road, 1 at home. So, you know, I don't think it makes that big of a difference. I think the only real big difference is when you play turf to turf or turf to grass. And when you go to a grass field that you're not used to, sometimes those things really take a lot of adjustment. But I think Quincy's going to be feeling very good about themselves, and they're playing on turf. They play on turf at home. So I think it's just going to be a great game. It's a good game.
Yeah, and Coach jumps into this game undefeated for a hand, going into this. Beat them twice last year, both times in. You're going to be your thoughts going into tonight.
The difference is that last year we had 10 seniors, and this year we have a lot of freshmen. We have a lot of seniors. So they have a little bit of edge on us in terms of experience. We have a lot of youth that really don't understand what is going on. They play like a kid. It's a good and bad deal. Though that for them, big deal. And our guys understand. For Queen, they play with a chip on their shoulder. They have to. We look forward to a great game. Now, it's going to be one of those games that you make mad. That's what we like about it.
Appreciate your time. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
That's Tony Tocco. On Geronimo. Stick around with Quincy head coach Mike Carpenter. The CAA Game of the Week. Rockhurst talks. Back here in Kansas City, Matt Digby joined by Quincy's head coach Mike Carpenter. And Coach, you guys encountered the new situation last time out, one you haven't encountered all season, where you had to come from behind twice against Drury. Tell us about some of what you were able to see in your players in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, we were faced with a different type of challenge, which was good for us because we needed to deal with that. We needed to face that kind of adversity, and we created, we had a couple mistakes that, looking back, I guess we could always do better, and we put ourselves in that situation. But mistakes are going to happen. We're human, college kids. They're going to make mistakes, and it's all about the reaction. The reaction was positive. We bounced back, and that's the reaction we were after.
And your defense, for the most part, has been rock solid all season long. Those are only the third and fourth goals you guys have conceded all season long. How vital has that been to your success in this early part of the season?
Oh, absolutely. It's a major emphasis for us. We're trying to give up as little goals as possible, just like anybody else, but we spend a lot of time working on our defensive shape and trying to be as organized on that side of the ball as we possibly can. And if you don't concede goals, it reduces the number that you have to score to win games, so we're in that business.
And now you're coming into this game with Rockhurst, a team that beat you twice last season in Quincy. What would it mean to the team this season to return the favor in a way and get a win on the road?
Oh, anytime we play Rockhurst, it's a big night for our guys. One of our bigger rivals. And they're a very good team. They've been a very good team for the last several years. I think we've been a good team too. And I'm sure when the schedule comes out, they pay attention when they're going to play Quincy, and we pay attention when we're going to play Rockhurst. So it goes both ways. But that's what college soccer is supposed to be about, these kind of competitive atmospheres, and we're looking forward to the kickoff.
Coach, we appreciate your time as always. Best of luck tonight.
Thank you for being here.
That's Mike Carpenter from Quincy head coach, the head coach of Quincy men's soccer. Stick around. I'm Matt Digby, Tom Panul, and I will paint the picture for you from Burke Field in Kansas City. This is the NSCAA Game of the Week presented by Turbo Sport. Those were the two head coaches, Tony Tocco from Rockhurst and his associate head coach, Giorgio Anton Geronimo, as well as the third-year head coach of the Quincy Hawks, Mike Carpenter, as I'm delighted to bring in Todd Panula for tonight's broadcast. And Todd, we heard it in both those interviews. Mike Carpenter with the Quincy Hawks, a little bit of a different scenario. Their last game against Drury having to come from behind twice, but they were able to eke out that 3-2 win.
Yeah, it's something that they're not necessarily used to. They're used to getting on top a little bit early and managing to score those opening goals. But they managed, as you said, to come back, make it still a victory. And I think that that's what they've got to take out of that win against Drury, was they managed to come back and come back, as I said. That's the key word that we keep using right there. Whereas on the flip side, Rockhurst, they've got to try to get on top, stay on top, because it's one of those situations where rivalry matchups, you never really know what you're going to get. Both teams are going to come out really hard right here.
Yeah, let's take a look at these starting lineups first for the designated home team, Rockhurst Hawks. Again, Tony Tocco, the head coach, in his 44th season here in Kansas City. His starting lineup, starting goalkeeper, is a senior from Rome, Italy, wears number 1, Stefano Radio. On defense, a sophomore from Springfield, Missouri, number 2, Evan Craig. On defense, a junior from St. Louis, Missouri, number 3, Nick Caruso. On defense, a sophomore from Overland Park, Kansas, number 5, Paul Dean. At forward, a sophomore from Richton Park, Illinois, number 9, Chi Guafong. At midfield, a freshman from Leawood, Kansas, number 14, Ben McDonald. On defense, a sophomore from Lee Summit, Missouri, number 15, Matt Collier. At midfield, a freshman from St. Louis, Missouri, number 20, Adam Michael. At forward, a freshman from St. Louis, Missouri, number 21, Caleb Jackson. At midfield, a freshman from St. Louis, Missouri, number 22, Connor Mullen. And at forward, a sophomore from Kansas City, Missouri, number 32, Michael Panarisi. Jackson and Panarisi both lead the team with 3 goals in the 2014 season so far. Adam Michael has 4 assists and 2 goals. Stefano Radio, starting goalkeeper, has a .42 goals against average with 4 shutouts. Rockhurst comes into this game 5-2 with a 5-1 record in the GLVC. So not quite, maybe not quite the record they were wanting for, but certainly not a bad record to have going into a high-profile matchup like this.
Yeah, and it's something that they can still improve on going towards postseason play because, as we can tell from the weather here, the days in the year are getting short, and it's going to be one of those situations where you want to try to build on each game that you're going to play getting towards postseason because those conference tournaments and then championship tournaments are really right around the corner.
Teams right now being walked out to center circle for the pregame ceremonies. Rockhurst in white shorts, white shirts, white socks with blue trim, while Quincy in black shirts with white sleeves, black shorts, and black socks. Starting lineups just given to us a couple minutes ago by head coach Mike Carpenter for the Quincy Hawks. Their starting goalie wears number 25. He is a redshirt senior from Florissant, Missouri, number 25, Drew Duncan. At midfield, a senior from Quincy, Illinois, number 3, Ethan Vemberlo. On midfield, a redshirt freshman from St. Charles, Missouri, number 4, Michael Timmerman. At defense, a sophomore from St. Louis, Missouri, number 6, Giovanni Dokai. At midfield, a sophomore from Quincy, Illinois, number 10, Taylor Reese. On defense, a redshirt senior from Parma, Ohio, number 11, Dylan Mook. At midfield, a redshirt sophomore from Edwardsville, Illinois, number 13, Robbie Tays. At forward, a senior from Durham, England, number 14, Jordan Roberts. On defense, a redshirt senior from St. Louis, Missouri, number 18, Chris Garavaglia. At midfield, a redshirt senior from St. Louis, Missouri, number 21, Steve McEnany. And at defense, a redshirt freshman from Florissant, Missouri, number 28, Scott Laddie. So a lot of red shirts being used by Mike Carpenter. They have a little bit of experience, albeit not on a competitive level, but hopefully that might be, hopefully from their stance, that might give them an edge going forward.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those deals where you get that experience with that red shirt. You kind of get a year of college under your belt. You get to practice with the team and everything, and now it's their time to shine out there on the field.
Jordan Roberts, the leading goal scorer for the Hawks with 9 goals in 2014. He is the reigning Great Lakes Valley Conference Offensive Player of the Week. And Giovanni Dokai coming forward from his defensive position a lot, more as a midfield defense hybrid. He has 8 goals and 6 assists on the season. And again, to rewind back to last year, Quincy went 15-5, making the semifinals of the Great Lakes Valley Conference Tournament. That was a tournament which they hosted. They lost twice to Rockhurst, both games coming in Quincy, Illinois. Rockhurst won the regular season matchup 2-0 and the tournament semifinal matchup 2-1. Rockhurst, meanwhile, did make the NCAA championships with a record of 17 wins, 4 losses, and 3 ties. They lost in the semifinals to the eventual national champion, Southern New Hampshire.
And that's a situation where they're going to try to go even further this year. They obviously haven't started off the regular season the way that they would like, but it all depends on how you finish up your year. And getting in towards the later stages, they want to try to build on that, as I said. And I just think we're going to be in for a really hard-fought battle here tonight between these two teams.
This is a matchup between the top 2 teams in the GLVC. Both were picked preseason to finish behind the University of Indianapolis. Quincy was picked 2nd. Rockhurst was picked 3rd, but because the Greyhounds have struggled, that has opened the door for both Hawk squads to creep up in the GLVC standings. Quincy currently sits at first with their undefeated and untied 9-0 record, 6-0 in the conference, while Rockhurst is tied for second in the conference with Missouri St. Louis with a conference record of 5-1 and an overall record of 5-2. Final huddles of preparation amongst the two teams. Quincy in black with white sleeves going right to left across your screen. Those of you interested in geographic directions, they will be attacking the north goal here at Burke Field in Kansas City. It will be the player I just mentioned, Jordan Roberts, the reigning conference offensive player of the week, will kick off to number 6, Giovanni Dakai. The top two leading scorers on the Hawks in this 2014 season. They are the forwards that complement a strong defense that has only conceded 4 times this campaign. Enjoy the game, enjoy the broadcast, everybody. This is Division II soccer highlighted in the NSCAA Game of the Week presented by Turbo Sports. Here's Scott Laddie. Back to Chris Garavaglia. Laddie again. Got one touch from Reese. Dokai sent it back, almost on a reset to Steve McEnany. Cleared out for a Rockhurst throw-in. So already we've played about a minute. That last possession from the beginning of the opening kickoff, that possession was dominated entirely by Quincy. Rockhurst seemed more eager to kind of sit back and let the play happen in front of them.
Yeah, Quincy doing a good job to start off the game with solid possession, just kind of working it around through the midfield as they tend to do, but kind of cheaply given away over there on the far side. And you're not going to be able to do that for very long and get much out of this ball game.
Right now, Roberts getting around one, but not the second. Foul given, and a free kick awarded to the Quincy Hawks. Ben McDonald called for the foul.
There was a bit of tugging and grabbing going on there. I didn't see too much in it, but if that's going to be the way that the official's going to call it, then the players need to react to that pretty quickly here.
Free kick sent into the box, headed goalward. That was McEnany delivering the cross, and Taylor Reese made a connection with it, but Stefano Radio, the senior from Rome, Italy, jumping up. Not the most difficult save he's made at his time here in Rockhurst. But we are just over 2 minutes old here in this match. Clearance sent back by Collier towards Radio. Name spelled like radio, R-A-D-I-O, but because he comes from Italy, it is spelled Radio. Now Quincy getting possession down the far side. See quite a few fans in the stands. There are quite a few fans along the, I guess the side rail is what you would call it here. We are perched on a little balcony overlooking the field. We are actually, as a matter of fact, just behind the camera view, which you're seeing at home. Throw into Rockhurst.
Again, just kind of cheaply given away over on the far sideline. That's twice now that they've done that. And easy balls up the wing if they want to take them, but they've just been putting a little bit too much on them so far.
Long ball sent downfield, intended for Chi Guafong. Headed back by Quincy. Roberts, not the first nor the last time we'll be calling his name this evening. Now Evan Craig temporarily won the ball back, and Rockhurst earning themselves another throw-in. That's something that they have excelled at in this opening 3+ minutes. Just letting the play happen in front of them as Quincy will reset back to Laddie. Here's Dylan Mook from Parma, Ohio. That's up in the Cleveland area. And Taylor Reese earning Quincy their first corner, coming with 40 minutes, 45 seconds and counting first half. It will be Steve McEnany, one of the co-captains, to take this corner kick. McEnany again had the free kick just moments ago that Reese was able to head goalwards, but not a whole lot of power to seriously test Radio. But here's McEnany's corner kick, cleared out of the box. Laddie deflected off the back heel of his own teammate, Mook. And a sliding tackle. Robbie Tay is called into action to clear. Listed on the roster as a midfielder, but employed tonight as a center back.
It was a good defensive play, though, by him sliding that over towards the near sideline. Actually got himself a throw-in off of that as well, because he was pretty much the last man between the attackers and the goalkeeper.
So Quincy enjoying the majority of attacking possession so far. I don't believe we've seen Rockhurst with possession on the attacking half until just now, when a nice sniff out by Garavaglia.
Yeah, it was a good through ball looking for the man up top for Rockhurst, but as you said, the Rockhurst Hawks really haven't had any kind of pressure in the attacking third of the field at all so far. It's been all black and white.
And certainly if you don't have attacking possession, you aren't going to find many opportunities to score. That's one reason why Quincy has only conceded 4 goals this season. 2 to Davis and Elkins at the beginning of the season, 2 in their last match against Drury.
And another corner coming up now for Quincy. Rockhurst is going to have to be steady on these set pieces, because if Quincy keeps getting the kind of numbers forward that they've had the last few opportunities, then eventually it's going to hit the back of the net.
McEnany will take in the 7th minute from the northwest corner. Sent into the box. And another corner awarded now at the northeast side of the field.
I think if you're Quincy, you got to connect with that. I understand that he might have seen it a little bit late right there, but when you get that close to the ball, you've got to at least make a connection.
McEnany, again, he is Quincy's designated dead ball specialist. Taken on the outside of the foot, punched out by Radio, cleared out by Guafong. Reese will let the ball bounce out for Quincy throw-in. This is a turf field here at Burke Field. I was able to check it pre-match. It was dry, but of course the sun has already set. You have to figure it's only a matter of time before dew sets in on the field. And will it be a slippery moment that settles this match late on as Friday day goes into evening?
And you always hope that a situation like that doesn't arise, because especially with the field conditions, with the way that they are, it's a bit of an older field, still in good condition, still reasonably soft, but the blades of grass are a little bit beaten down, so any kind of slip is just going to compound itself.
Long ball sent down the right wing, intended for Panarisi, who will let the ball roll out for a Rockhurst throw-in. Covering on defense for Quincy was Robbie Tays. Once again, if you're just joining us, welcome to the NSCAA Game of the Week between Quincy and Rockhurst. If you are viewing this as a neutral, my advice to you, root for the Hawks. That's the nickname of both of these schools. 9th minute throw-in for Rockhurst. Long throw-in, reaches inside the box from Collier. Got off the back of the head from Adam Michael, the freshman midfielder. Collected on the bounce by Drew Duncan. So the redshirt senior from Florissant, Missouri, his first action of the night is to collect the pass inside the box. Throw-in awarded to Quincy. Just after 8 p.m. here in the Central Time Zone. That would be 9 p.m. Eastern. Again, this game slated to start 7:30 Central, but it is the second of a doubleheader between Rockhurst and Quincy, the two women's soccer teams just finishing up a match about a half hour ago. That played out to a 0-0 draw. And if you are new to college soccer, they play the regular 90 minutes, but they count down from 45 in every half with stoppages for goals, injuries, or major fouls, usually the kind that result in cards. And if we're still tied after 90 minutes, we will play 2 10-minute sudden death periods. That's exactly what the women's soccer teams from Quincy and Rockhurst faced earlier today. 2 10-minute periods. Neither one of them was able to find the back of the net. That finished in a 0-0 draw.
And I think both squads were probably a little bit disappointed because they had some chances. The keepers were tested once or twice in each half, but just unable to bulge the old onion bag.
That was the first draw of the year for both teams. Quincy is 6-3-1 overall, 5-1-1 in the Great Lakes Valley Conference. Rockhurst 8-1-1 overall, 5-1-1 in the Great Lakes Valley Conference. So both those teams came into their match tied at the same spot in the conference. They were trying to see which one was better. Apparently, no one team is better than the other.
Nothing was figured out here today anyway.
Sent back towards Reese outside center circle. Headed back by McDonald toward Guifong. Collier. Back to Radio. Cleared it as Roberts was trying to run down the Rockhurst keeper, maybe get a deflection. Here's Robbie Tays. Garavaglia.
And right now, I think you have to give a lot of credit to Quincy so far because it's not as though Rockhurst isn't pressuring the ball. Quincy is just possessing it that much with quality.
Quality until that recent turnover by Roberts, but now here's a one-touch pass intended for Panarisi. That was from Michael, intercepted by Quincy. This is Tays. Back to Mook. We'll play back to Duncan. 12th minute now, no score in this GLVC matchup. This is our third game featuring a GLVC university. Our first weekend of the season, our very third game of this series. We were in Louisville, Kentucky, where Bellarmine went toe-to-toe with Ohio Dominican for all 90 minutes, but Ohio Dominican won a penalty just 90 seconds into overtime. They converted that penalty and got out of Louisville with a 3-2 win as a long pass down the left wing for Dakai. Back to Roberts. Deflected shot, bounced uncertainly in front of Radio, but the senior able to come out and collect on one bounce. And Rockhurst bring the ball now towards midfield. Long pass sent down in the direction of their left wing attacker. That would be Caleb Jackson, one of the leading scorers, along with Panarisi on the Rockhurst roster. Our second game featuring the GLVC occurred 2 weeks ago today, just about a couple hours drive south of us in Springfield, Missouri, when Drury took on the University of Indianapolis. The Greyhounds were the preseason favorite to win the GLVC, but they have struggled in 2014. And Drury did get a 1-0 win over the University of Indianapolis.
Sometimes it's difficult to live up to expectations when they didn't win their conference last season, and all of a sudden you come in, you know the talent is there, but they're not necessarily used to having that pressure hanging over their head.
Absolutely, and We were talking pre-match with Rockhurst associate head coach Giorgio Antongeramoli. He said a lot of the Rockhurst players from the Final Four squad in 2013 were seniors. Now that experience is gone, where's the new leadership going to come from? So far, it has appeared, period. I mean, you don't get to it's very rare that a primarily freshman or sophomore dominated squad gets to a 5-2 start to the season. There has to be some influence there, and certainly a lot of the players are assisting in that department as well.
Yeah, it's a situation where they have a lot of youth on the team and everything, and they're growing together here throughout the season. But right now, they're just looking for that person to really kind of step up in the final moments.
Attacking throw-in for Quincy as we've played just about a quarter of an hour in Kansas City. We are a little bit south of downtown. Not entirely far away from the sports complex that houses both Arrowhead Stadium and Kauffman Stadium. Both those sites had quite the hosting week this week.
It's been quite a sporting weekend just in general for Kansas City.
As an off-target shot from Taylor Reese, he knows with that expression on his body, he didn't get the shot he wanted. It just simply rolled instead of getting a little air under it. Not a serious test for Radio.
And those are kind of frustrating situations because you know with the turf field, there wasn't any kind of bobble right there. The ball was playing very true to the ground, and he just didn't get the kind of strike that he wanted.
Would you say it was the turf? Because we have seen it for ourselves. It looks very worn, although in good condition still.
I think you could say that maybe there was something in that, but I think ultimately he still needs to find that strike right there. And with that kind of setup and that kind of position on the field, you have to find a finish.
McEnany looking for Reese. After having to fight off McDonald, Reese does pass back. Here's Roberts. Dispossessed by Guafang, and now Michael Panarisi's onside. Inside the 18 yards! Couldn't keep it inside the post. Michael Panarisi had gotten behind the Quincy defense. His curling shot had Duncan beaten and very nearly opened the scoring in the 17th minute.
You've got to find a finish right there. You haven't had possession at all in the sprung open by a beautiful through ball. You have to put that in the back of the net somehow.
It would have only been the third time this season that Quincy would have found themselves coming from behind, and now a free kick awarded to QU. Certainly helped out. Throwing award to the Quincy back towards midfield. No substitutions yet. We've played 18 minutes, which is about a fifth of the way through the match. Here's Mook. Cross cleared out by Rockhurst, back towards Laddie.
Good idea, but just nobody on the other end of it.
Now McEnany playing a ground pass. Reese got a touch and a one-touch opportunity. Saved by Stefano Radio. That was Jordan Roberts connecting on the pass. Tried to slide it inside the near post, in between the post and Radio, but the Italian goalkeeper holding firm, able to deny the Englishman.
And those are the kind of situations that as an opposing team, you never really know what to do. Obviously, you want the chance on goal. You want to test the goalkeeper. But as a former keeper myself, you know that you want to be tested. You want to get that early action, get yourself into the game, because I know if I was the Quincy keeper, there's a chance that you fall asleep in that key moment because you haven't been tested at all.
And like you were just saying, Drew Duncan was clearly beaten on that one opportunity from Panarisi, who just couldn't slide it inside that far crossbar. Otherwise, Rockhurst would be celebrating a 1-0 lead right now. Wifong dispossessed by Mook, trying to win the ball back. Gets a one-touch pass from Connor Mullen. And a foul on Quincy. Shoulder grab is the call, and Mike Carpenter, who, like yourself, Todd, is a former goalkeeper, he's not pleased with the call.
We're an interesting breed, I'll say that.
Ben McDonald to take this free kick for Rockhurst. Headed out by Roberts. McDonald. Deflected header almost fell right to Panarisi. Now Collier heads it toward Wifong. Let the ball get away from him enough for Mook to poke it away. Out to the left back, Craig. Evan Craig's attempted pass deflected. Falls anyway to Panarisi. Judged to have fouled a Quincy Hawk and a Quincy free kick.
A bit unfortunate there. Looked like they were going into each other pretty much 50-50, but the referee obviously saw something in it. And obviously another free kick coming up. Pretty far away from goal, though, for Quincy.
Duncan will take this free kick. It will clear midfield, headed on by Laddie. And a long ball sent down the left wing again. Out for Duncan to collect again. Well, we've seen Quincy still enjoy the majority of possession here, even as we play on just about midway through the first half. Rockhurst has been building an offensive identity, but still Quincy has been the one with the shots on goal, the more opportunities.
But I think if you're Rockhurst, you have to take away that positive that you created that scoring opportunity that, quite frankly, should have been buried, but ultimately you don't come away with the goal. But they've at least looked a little bit more spirited trying to get forward in the attack. It hasn't been nothing but Quincy possession in the last few minutes.
Here's McDonald across center circle, finding Wifong. Pokes it towards Jackson. It went off the left winger's foot, the back of his foot. Otherwise, it would have created a huge opportunity for Rockhurst. Now Michael, who has been the leading playmaker for Rockhurst with a team leading 4 assists. Roberts now. Laddie. One player we haven't mentioned in a while is Giovanni Dokai, second leading scorer on Quincy's roster with 8 goals. Jordan Roberts has 9. It has really been those two who have supplied the bread and butter that is Quincy's offense throughout the 2014 season, while Rockhurst has a much more balanced attack. Their 2 leading scorers only have 3 goals each. And a hard collision at the 23rd minute between Connor Mullen and Steve McEnany. No card given. Referee not even calling for the clock to be stopped, but he does give Quincy a free kick.
And I agree with not really giving a card right there. It was a hard challenge, but he was going for the ball, just came in a little bit late. And oftentimes you'll see a referee hand out a card thinking that he's going to put a stop to something, but I really didn't see a whole lot in that was needing a caution.
Rockhurst making the first substitution of the match. They will bring on Luke Moore, a junior forward from Nixa, Missouri, in to replace Chi Guifong. And we've been here pretty much all day, Todd. We've seen for ourselves, we felt for ourselves how we're in the 50s or the 40s as far as temperature goes. You and I are wearing multiple layers as a result of that. You know, how hard is it, running into someone during a collision like that? It's one thing if it's in the summer where it's 80, 90 degrees, but then when it gets colder, you just feel it that much more.
I think if you're the one on the receiving end, it's going to affect you a lot more than it normally would, because a lot of times you would just stand right back up and take the free kick. But as we saw, a few effects are going to be felt right there because you're going to feel that sting a lot more than you normally would.
McEnany looking for Roberts, cleanly intercepted by Collier. Receives the pass from Moore, his first touch of the game. Now Collier one-on-one with Mook. Entering the box, out comes Duncan to collect from about 3 yards out. Collier tried to get the cross in towards Panarisi, or actually Moore was trying to sneak behind the Quincy keeper. But Drew Duncan, who has been rock solid as a keeper, his defenders have been rock solid in general throughout this 2014 season.
Good heads-up goalkeeping on that prior play as well, because you don't want to give any opportunity. You let that cross go across the top of the 6-yard box, you don't necessarily know who's there. As a keeper, you want to be aware of your surroundings, but there's people coming in the back door all the time, and it was a good move to smother that ball.
Roberts just outside the 18-yard box, trying to cut around a couple Rockhurst defenders. And across into the box, collected by Radio in the air. So almost exactly 25 minutes played, 20 to go in half number 1 in this NSCAA Game of the Week. We have yet to see a goal scored in, at this point, 135 minutes of action here, because there was a women's game that went all 90 minutes, all 20 minutes of the 2 extra time periods. And we are still yet to see a goal, as Quincy almost trying to give Rockhurst a dose of its own medicine. Dakai, his first touch in the Wild. That cross collected right at the 6-yard box by Stefano Radio.
Getting into the danger zone all the way down to the end line and trying to cross it back, but solid hands by Radio right there, not allowing any kind of rebound chance.
The Italian already with 4 saves in the 26th minute. His long clearance headed back by McEnany, only as far as McDonald. Moore. His cross deflected off Dakai, and now an opportunity for a fast break for Jordan Roberts and Quincy. Running up ahead is Reese, electing to go out on the wing. That cross cleared out by Rockhurst, only as far as Caravaglia. And Radio will let the ball roll out to collect. So in the meantime, Tony Toko will be making a substitution shortly. We have Austin Tierney, a senior midfielder from St. Louis, waiting to enter.
I think Coach Carpenter is going to be a little bit disappointed with the formation of that attack for Quincy, as they got the ball deep into the attacking end, but ultimately a blind pass kind of sabotaged everything.
Moore with space, tried to chip one in towards Michael, and Moore winning the header over the shoulder of Mook, but headed to no one in particular. And in the meantime, Toko has sent 2 more substitutes to the halfway line. Joining Tierney shortly will be number 33, Claudio Romano, a freshman forward from Naples, Italy. And also number 26, Brian O'Neill, a sophomore forward from St. Louis, Missouri. So 2 forwards in the midfield are coming on right now for the Rockhurst Hawks. Do you like this formation, Todd?
I think it's serving them well right now as they're trying to absorb the pressure from Quincy so far, and you want to get fresh legs out there because Quincy just keeps pressuring in on the attack, and Rockhurst now looking for more of a counter-attacking style.
Well, Quincy resorting to a very defensive effort with this attacking throw and awarded to Rockhurst. Romano's first touch is headed towards goal inside the box. O'Neill pushes Tays from behind. Free kick awarded to Quincy. That's not something that head coach Tony Toko is going to argue. It's not really something you can argue with. The push was present.
Players always tried, as we saw due to the players' reaction right there, but I mean, you could see it from a mile away. I don't have the best vision, and you saw the push right there in the box, and you rob yourself of an opportunity to try to get the ball by silliness like that.
Here's Ethan Vemverlo, a senior midfielder, crossing over to the right side, and unable to keep that ball in play was the right midfielder, Michael Timmerman. Throw into Rockhurst with just over a quarter of an hour to go in this first half. McEnany. O'Neal. Resets back to Michael. Had to clear it under pressure towards Romano. And Romano losing the ball out of bounds for a Quincy throw-in. Don't forget, fans, you can log on to our website, turbosportsgroup.com, to purchase this game or any of our broadcasts affiliated with the NSCAA Small College Game of the Week series. That is Turbo Sports Group, TOURBEAU, sportsgroup.com. We are the official streaming and video production partner of the NSCAA Small College Game of the Week series. We will rejoin you next tomorrow evening, Saturday, October 4th, when we pay a visit to Atchison, Kansas, and an NAIA conference matchup between the Baker Wildcats and the Benedictine Ravens right here on NSCAA TV. We talked about Mike Carpenter being a former college goalkeeper, one of the assistant coaches that we'll talk about tomorrow. He has spent some time in Major League Soccer. Andy Grunebaum. As here's Moore, headed towards Michael, cleared out by Garavaglia. Now play toward Takai. Goes down inside the box. He wasn't looking for a penalty. Cleared out cleanly by Rockhurst. Romano lost the header to Tays. Reset back to Garavaglia. No substitutions yet in this first half for Quincy. Coach Mike Carpenter letting his starting 11 go for the opening 32 minutes. Action now taking place in front of the crowd over on the east side of Burkefield. And now a one-touch scramble, a one-touch clearance leads to a Quincy throw-in. That was Evan Craig getting the clearance outside of the 18-yard box.
Now you talk about the substitution. It looks like Quincy is about to make one, and they'll probably wait until after this corner. But given the way that they play, I can't say that I blame Coach Carpenter for really sticking with his starting 11, because they've done an excellent job creating some chances. They just haven't had that final touch so far.
Yeah, McEnany's cross, as out came Radio. Again, Quincy this time awarded the corner at the northwest side, and this time Mike Carpenter will introduce Tommy Kerper, a redshirt sophomore from St. Louis, Missouri. Again, another redshirt. A lot of those experienced players who may not have had that much experience on the field, but they've had time getting to learn the system, learn Carpenter's philosophy in only his third season as the man in charge at Quincy.
And if you can afford to do that, obviously that's a perfect scenario to where they get to not be just thrown to the Lions their first year in college.
McEnany's corner headed out by Michael and headed out of the 18-yard box. Back as far as Garavaglia. Taylor Reese was the player to make way for Kerper. And Toko will make a substitution soon. Mitch Mancada, a sophomore forward from Springfield, Missouri. So a lot of attack-minded substitutions coming in this first half from Toko and his associate, Giorgio Anton Girolami.
And I have to wonder if that might have been the game plan going in, to try to just put out a lineup that was going to absorb the pressure from Quincy, kind of let everything settle into a little bit of a lull. Then all of a sudden you hit them with more of an attack in the second half of the first half.
Well, it did nearly pay off earlier in the first half from Michael Panarisi, almost getting his 4th goal of the season. And we will see for the first time Moncada and also a redshirt freshman from Yorkville, Illinois for Quincy, Arden Amini. Quincy University in Quincy, Illinois, right on the Illinois-Missouri state line. Not a very difficult trek. Simply travel south along the Mississippi River to U.S. Route 36, then take U.S. Route 36 all the way across the state of Missouri to Interstate 29. Take that south all the way into Kansas City. And a free kick awarded to Rockhurst. A little tug of the jersey in the 35th minute. As Charlie Bame, a junior midfielder, waits to enter. He comes from St. Louis. A lot of St. Louis natives on the Rockhurst roster.
And not just on the soccer team, but apparently on the university at whole. We were talking to some of the SIDs and assistants coming around to talk to us before the game, and they said there were a lot of Cardinal fans despite all the good things going on in Kansas City right now.
Well, the Cardinals are in action right now against the Dodgers. Royals taking on the Angels later tonight. Actually, that game is slated to start in just about 10 minutes.
See, that's the beauty of being on the web. They can watch that game on their televisions and then watch us on the web, and you got best of both worlds.
Yeah, I should have clarified. Not that we want people to go away from our game, because we have a pretty exciting game here ourselves. Free kick awarded to Rockhurst. Will it be before Quincy's next substitution, bringing on the defender and Chris MacArthur, a freshman from St. Louis. On the left foot, free kick sent inside the box. It was Romano got the header, and an uncertain punch over the crossbar by Duncan. He stood his ground right on the goal line, but under pressure from a Rockhurst attacker, Duncan punches the ball over the goal line, setting up a corner at the southeast side of the field. And we will see the substitution, Chris MacArthur on for Quincy and Charlie Bame for Rockhurst.
And ultimately, it ended up serving Rockhurst very well. Sometimes you'll see the attacking players back off, showing a bit of decorum right there, but really nothing all that unsportsmanlike. You pressure the goalkeeper, try to make him into a mistake.
It is Bame. His very first kick of the ball is the corner, sent inside the 6-yard box. Now sent back in towards Michael. Out comes Duncan to punch the ball away. Attempted bicycle kick, didn't fall super cleanly. But Nick Caruso, his cross back in, cleared out.
A really good choice there from Caruso because he had absolutely no option. He was about to be surrounded by 3 Quincy players. He did the best that he could. He just blasted a ball off the defender trying to draw a corner, and that's exactly what he ends up with.
It is a corner kick awarded to Rockhurst, their second of the night. Quincy have had 5 in 38 minutes. This corner taken and low, sent back out to Craig. Headed only as far as Moncada. And Craig tried to aim that deflection goalwards, could not do so. Duncan to take the ensuing goal kick. 1 shot, 2 corner kicks for Rockhurst, 4 saves by Radio. 4 shots, 5 corner kicks for Quincy, 1 save from Duncan. This matchup in the Great Lakes Valley Conference.
So far, it seems like it's been a matchup of corner kicks so far. We've had a couple just now for Rockhurst and plenty down at this end for Quincy. And it seems like one of these times it's going to end up in a goal.
Well, for the 6th time, it will be Steve McInerney for Quincy. It's taken in low, headed out by Michael. And intercepted by a Rockhurst player running well out of the box, continuing his run towards midfield. Intended for Romano, almost getting a touch was Bame. And Chris Garavaglia playing smart defense, able to run back, collect the ball, bring it forward, and earn a Quincy throw-in for Mook.
And if I'm Romano, I think I want to put just a little bit of a toe poke on that ball. Continue it further through because the defender was right there, as we saw, ended up with the ball. But if he just barely touches it past, then all of a sudden it throws it past the defender's line of attack.
Mook now to take another throw-in towards midfield. Towards Roberts, the reigning conference offensive player of the week. He wins another Hawk throw-in. Cleared back toward Tays. Cross deflected by Tierney, one of his first touches, as we're now inside the final 5 minutes of the first half. No score between Quincy and Rockhurst. That's not to say this game has not had opportunities. Both sides have had plenty. You see the Rockhurst coaches screaming at their players to hold the ball as Tierney, little collision there with Garavaglia, turned over to McInerney. And Chris MacArthur brought on in defense for the latter minutes of the first half. Here's Michael. And a little bit of a collision there. Mike Carpenter wanting a foul, and the referee does give Quincy the throw-in. Collision there involving Connor Mullen, the midfielder.
And the player for Rockhurst did come in a little bit late, but ultimately they went shoulder to shoulder. So I kind of agree with the official there, which is kind of a rarity.
Well, if you hear the drum, you know that Rockhurst have been given an attacking free kick in the 42nd minute. Just about 3.5 minutes remain in this first half. It will either be Adam Michael or Mitch Mancata to take. Now also coming forward is Paul Dean, the center back defender. But it looks like Adam Michael takes it low, bounces a couple of times in front of Duncan. Found a way to get in between those two piles of players, creating separate walls. But Duncan, in the end, simply having to get down and pick the ball up to make the save.
Yeah, ultimately, I think if he had that back again, he'd like to put a little more power on it, because I understand what he was trying to do. I don't fault the idea. Trying to keep it low underneath the wall, try to surprise the goalkeeper, but it was just kind of a slow roller.
Roberts got around Collier, but not past Tierney, who collects this one-touch pass from Romano. Back to Collier. And Tierney wanted to set up Romano, who did not make the run as the midfielder had anticipated. So potential opportunity wasted there for Rockhurst in the 43rd minute. Action taking place on the east side of the field. Again, this field goals are located at the north and south. And we've been playing in the sunset the entire game, I would say. The sun did appear during the women's game earlier this evening, but then it set, and We've been playing this match in all night. Of course, we are getting shorter in the days. Not quite ready to set back our clocks and gain that extra hour of sleep for daylight savings time. That doesn't come until the end of the month.
Bit fortunate, though, because even though it's a little bit chilly here tonight, as you said, we're wearing some extra layers. And players are ultimately very comfortable, but we could be a lot worse. Woke up this morning and there were some raindrops falling, and we were wondering whether the weather forecast was going to hold.
Yeah, you drove yesterday from St. Louis. I myself drove 10 hours from Columbus, Ohio, technically over 10 because we ran into some traffic and a lot of thunderstorms, particularly around Columbia. But those cells seem to have passed the Kansas City metropolitan area and moving further eastward as we're now less than a minute to play in the first half. This is McEnany. Spin move. Trying to feed Kerper. Cleared out by Rockhurst. MacArthur. Final 10 seconds being counted down. Long cross headed down the middle of the field intended for Dokai. And a deflection will end the first half of play. So plenty of opportunities from both Quincy and Rockhurst. None of them able to find the back of the net. However, Quincy had the majority of possession in the first half and probably came closest to scoring in the opening 10 minutes, while Michael Panarici had an opportunity fall just a little bit high over the crossbar with Drew Duncan clearly beaten. But we find ourselves deadlocked at halftime, 0-0 between the Hawks and the Hawks. Stay tuned for halftime stats and highlights on the NSCAA Game of the Week presented by Turbo Sports.
Jesuit core values are with me every single day.
I've learned that you can be successful, but also be ethical at the same time.
Leadership, ethical values, how to be a professional. Rockhurst has helped me become the person that I am today.
Rockhurst University in Kansas City, where you'll gain a global perspective from the heart of the Midwest, where over 25,000 successful alumni call home. Rockhurst, Kansas City's Jesuit University, where leaders learn. Come to Rockhurst University, where you'll be challenged academically, where you'll grow in character and in conscience, where small class sizes, caring professors, and a tight-knit community feel like home. Rockhurst University, where leaders learn.
The NSCAA convention to me is probably the best place to get any sort of education of a wide variety that you can go in the world.
Always nice to see who you wander across in the hallways, might have a quick word with.
I think it's exciting to meet youth coaches and high school coaches and even college coaches who are all really passionate about the sport.
It's a learning experience. I think it's invaluable both from a coach standpoint and from an administrative standpoint.
Each year, the NSCAA puts over 7,000 coaches through our coaching education program. Youth, high school, and college coaches at all levels participate in the diploma courses. No matter where you are in your coaching path, we have something for you. Join your peers and get educated. Better coaching, better players, better game. NSCAA Coaching Academy. Improving soccer, one coach at a time. Register today at nscaa.com/education.
And welcome back to the NSCAA Game of the Week between Quincy and Rockhurst, presented by Turbo Sports. I'm Matt Digby, delighted to be joined at halftime by the head coach of Rockhurst women's soccer, Mr. Greg Herdlick. Coach, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys coming out here this evening for the men's game.
Absolutely, and as we mentioned throughout the broadcast, there was a women's game earlier tonight that finished in the 0-0 draw between Quincy and Rockhurst, and that was a game that did have a lot of opportunities going back and forth. You know, what happened as far as being able to finish off those opportunities, or the lack of finishing opportunities?
Yeah, you know, I think both teams are very sound defensively. Dave's the coach at Quincy, and, you know, I think they've been to nationals for the last 9 years running. You know, we're trying to make a name here on the women's side. We've been to nationals the past 3 years, hoping to make it a fourth year. So we knew going into this it was going to be a defensive battle. Unfortunately for us, nothing broke on their end, but fortunately nothing broke on our end too, so the game ended in the 0-0 draw.
Yeah, Jessica Cook was one of the leading attackers with 2 shots on goal. Talk about her effort and her kind of spearheading the Hawk attack.
Yeah, she's a little deceiving because she's probably the smallest girl out on the field, but she might be one of the fastest ones. So we really try to get her the ball and have her take defenders one-on-one, because we think with her explosive speed, as soon as she can get past the defender, she can shoot for a target on the goal.
Now, moving into your relationship with the athletics department, your relationship with athletic director Gary Burns, what has that been like over your time with the Hawks?
Yeah, so Gary has I've been here now for 16 seasons. Gary was the baseball coach for a little while before he took over the AD position about 2 years ago. So I've known Gary both as a colleague and now as my boss. I have a lot of respect for Gary. I know he appreciates the effort that takes place with the women's team. So it's been a really good working relationship. You know, it's always good when you don't get called into his office to talk to him. And so he kind of leaves me to be. And thankfully, you know, the girls behave themselves both on and off the field.
Yeah, of course. Coach, we appreciate your time. Glad you're able to come in tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that was Greg Herdlick, the head coach of Rockhurst women's soccer. When we come back, some quick halftime stats and the second half of our NSCAA Game of the Week between Quincy and Rockhurst. Todd Panula and I will paint the picture for you from Burke Field here in Kansas City. Stay tuned. This is the Turbo Sports Network. And welcome back to the NSCAA Game of the Week presented by Turbo Sports. We are just about ready to begin the second half between the 10th-ranked Quincy Hawks from Quincy, Illinois, and the Rockhurst Hawks from Kansas City, Missouri. A couple halftime stats: 5 shots from Quincy, 4 of them on target, 2 each from Taylor Reese and Jordan Roberts. And starting goalkeeper for Rockhurst, Stefano Radio, making 4 for 5 different players, a total of 5 in the first half, coming from Evan Craig, Nick Caruso, Adam Michael, Michael Panarisi, and Claudio Romano. 2 of them were on target from Romano and Michael. 2 saves made by Quincy starting goalkeeper Drew Duncan. 6 corner kicks in the first half for Quincy, 2 for Rockhurst. 6 fouls committed by each team. 5 shots again by period for both Quincy and Rockhurst. Welcome back to Burke Field. Matt Digby joined by Todd Panula. And Todd, we've seen a very offensive-minded in both Hawks squads. But again, just like we saw in the women's game a couple hours ago, no goals after 45 minutes of play.
Yeah, ultimately there's been confident goalkeeping from both teams. Radio looking fairly solid, and then his counterpart called into action a couple times as well. And they've been on top of their games. They haven't been overly tested. Obviously, each team would like to have more chances, but as much as Quincy has possessed it, we heard the coaches for Rockhurst right before the half yelling at their players to hold on to the ball for a while, and I think that's going to be a big key for the second half, is Rockhurst has got to have more possession. They had a good amount of counterattacks there towards the end of the first half. If they can possess the ball a little bit more on top of those counterattacks, they could set themselves up for a fairly productive half. Otherwise, I think Quincy might end up striking off of one of those set pieces.
Yeah, Quincy did get the opening kickoff, and I'm not exaggerating, held on to the ball for about a minute. Rockhurst's first touch of the ball came on a defending throw-in with about a minute already played in the first half. But the Hawks in white going right to left across your screen the second half will get the ball first to start this second half. They did come closest to scoring from Michael Panarisi a little less than midway through the first half when he was able to angle a shot past Drew Duncan with the upper left-hand corner wide open, but not able to sneak it underneath that crossbar.
And he'd like to have that one back a little bit. I think if he just takes a tiny bit more off of that, gets it more directly on the shoelaces, he might have a goal. But all credit goes to Duncan as well. He came out, slid out towards the attacker, threw him off just enough. Obviously didn't get a piece of that as it went out for a goal kick. But ultimately, that's all you can ask from your goalkeeper, is to come out and cut off the angle the way that he did.
Panarisi and Ben McDonald will get us underway to start this second half. Again, Rockhurst in white with blue trim going right to left across your screen, or if you're interested in geographic directions, they will be going from south attacking the north goal, while Quincy going the opposite direction in black shirts with white sleeves, black shorts, and black socks. We've played 155 minutes of soccer total tonight, and we have yet to see a single goal. The earlier game of this doubleheader between the women's squads from both Quincy and Rockhurst finished 0-0 after 45 minutes, after 90 minutes, and after both of the 10-minute sudden death golden goal periods. Will we see a goal here in the men's encounter? It's undefeated Quincy and 2-loss Rockhurst, the top 2 teams in the Great Lakes Valley Conference coming into tonight's matchup. Through ball laid by Panarisi towards Guifong. And an uneasy touch from the attacker. Sent forward towards Roberts. McDonald finding Michael. Got away from McEnany. Tried to thread a pass for Panarisi. Now intercepted by Quincy. Here's Taylor Reese. Roberts looking for Dokai. Not able to get a critical touch. Ball rolls on through to Stefano Radio. Receiving instructions in Italian from the associate head coach, Giorgio Anton Giramoli. Free kick awarded to Rockhurst in the 47th minute.
It's been a kind of interesting juxtaposition so far. We had a fairly smooth start to the game, and now in the start of the second half, it's been much more choppy for each team.
Here's Caleb Jackson, well out on the wing. Poked away, last touch by Michael Timmerman, out for a Rockhurst throw-in. Well, Quincy was in this position in their last game against Drury in the sense that they were held to no goals in the opening 45 minutes. Of course, they did find themselves down 1-0 at intermission and then came from behind twice to get out with a 3-2 home win over the Panthers. Keep their undefeated and untied streak alive. Now looking to gain some token of revenge on the team that beat them twice in 2013. Once in the Great Lakes Valley Conference Tournament semifinals, a game that was played in Quincy, Illinois, as was the regular season matchup. Paul Dean heading the ball forward. Mullen towards Michael. McEnany towards Dokai. We haven't said his name a whole lot today. We've said this player's name a lot, Jordan Roberts. One-on-one with Caruso. Handball potentially. Referee says no penalty kick awarded.
I think they got away with one right there because that one seemed like it clearly came up and contacted the hand. And I know that that's been a big thing that officials are supposed to focus on. Where was the position of the hand? Was it in a normal position? Was it away from the body? But right there, that looked like that took away a scoring opportunity, and I think you have to put that on the spot.
Well, McEnany takes his 7th corner of the game, found right by an attacker and cleared off the line by a Rockhurst defender. Now a fast break opportunity for RU. Dispossessed from behind by Reese. So Quincy very nearly made that question mark about the penalty moot with the opportunity that was cleared off the line. Very nearly 1-0 anyway.
That was Evan Craig, who was right in the perfect position on the post, managed to stick out a right foot, clear it off the line. Otherwise, that would have been a for sure goal for Quincy.
McEnany, who's been delivering the dead balls, both free kicks and corners throughout the evening, almost delivered a grade A perfect pass for the header there.
And I think in any other situation, that probably would have been 1-0 in favor of Quincy. But Rockhurst with the man on the near post, a lot of times you won't see that because they figure the goalkeeper will have it.
Roberts, cross back in, deflected by Michael, almost an own goal. This time Radio able to hold his ground and collect for the save. But once again, Quincy just attacking at that Rockhurst defense. And you have to feel with now just under 40 minutes to play in regulation time, the confidence from Rockhurst, you know, it's got to be a little shaky. They're weathering the storm right now from Quincy, but you have to wonder how long they'll be able to hold the Quincy attack out of the goal for how much longer. Here is Roberts. One-on-one with Craig, who wins a Hawk throw-in front of his own bench. McDonald tried to find Guafong, lost it to Reese. And Quincy forced to reset. Back to Timmerman. Dokai, a one-touch pass from Roberts. And lost the ball out of bounds. Radio will take the ensuing goal kick. Our next broadcast will come to you in a little less than 24 hours from Atchison, Kansas. That's about an hour north of Kansas City when the Baker Wildcats take on the Benedictine Ravens in an NAIA matchup featuring the Heart of America Athletic Conference. That game will kick off at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 Central, right here on the TSG Network. That should be a fun game between the Ravens and the Wildcats, two teams that were ranked in the top 20 of the NAIA preseason coaches poll. Both have endured rough starts to the season and are currently outside the top 25, although Baker is receiving votes, thanks in some large part to 4 straight wins. So it's going to be a lot of fun from Atchison tomorrow night here on the TSG Network.
And I think fans of good soccer are going to want to tune in for that one, because I was fortunate enough to cover the NAIA Men's National Championships last December. And some people say, oh, it's NAIA, but I mean, they play a really entertaining brand of soccer at that level.
They really do. This is going to be my 3rd NAIA game of this Small College Game of the Week series, as Roberts Cross is cleared out for a Quincy throw-in. Our last NAIA game provided a frankly shock result. Kansas Wesleyan going into 8th-ranked Hastings and running all over the Broncos. 5 second-half goals to get a road win, 5-2. And Kansas Wesleyan playing with their first-year head coach after their previous head coach for the last few seasons took another head job elsewhere. Roberts lines up a shot, and Quincy's pressure has finally paid off in the 54th minute. Jordan Roberts, his 10th goal of the season, illustrating why he is the reigning conference offensive player of the week. And Quincy, after all the pressure, have finally taken the lead.
And you could kind of see that coming from a mile away. The Rockhurst defenders, they kind of formed a circle around the attacker right there, but did nothing to really pressure him. And as a goalkeeper, that's the last thing you want to have happen, is a player get a quality strike with a player not even within 5 yards of him from the middle of the field. And some people will say, oh, well, Radio got a hand on it. He should have been able to keep it out. He didn't see that until the last moment. He had a defender in the box screening him just enough. He just saw that. He was lucky to get a piece of it at all. And ultimately, it's just a cracker of a goal by Roberts.
Well, Radio did come into this evening with a goals against average of .42. He will not be picking up shutout win number 5 tonight. He can still pick up a win, but it would have to be a come-from-behind win at this point for Rockhurst, as now we could be seeing our first yellow card here. Some pushing right now going on between the two players from both sides. Referee has not stopped the clock yet. Giovanni Dakai was the injured Quincy Hawk. Free kick awarded and taken quickly by McEnany towards the current goal scorer, Roberts. Tony Toko was screaming at the referee to stop the clock, but it continues running. And Radio will take this goal kick.
And that's one thing, even as a former player, I've always been somewhat apprehensive of why that situation even occurred. The foul was correct. There was really no reason for any of that to occur afterwards.
A little bit of extracurricular activity. These games that we've done on the Small College Game of the Week series, we've only seen one red card issued to a player. That was issued to a forward from William Carey in their NAIA matchup with Georgia Gwinnett, a matchup that Georgia Gwinnett won 2-0. A sound performance from the Grizzlies, who used their good start to the season to rise up into the NAIA coaches' top 10, where they have been now for 2 weeks. Michael heading the ball forward, intercepted by Garavaglia. 56th minute now. Quincy leads on a 54th minute goal from Jordan Roberts, his 10th goal of the season. In game number 10, I should add.
Not a bad ratio.
And Quincy right now just over a half hour away from win number 10. They are a perfect 9-0, 6-0 in the conference. They have conceded only 4 times in 2014. But a throw-in for Mullen just across midfield. He will now receive the throw-in after ceding way to Evan Craig. Back to Caruso. Dean. Jackson heading it towards Michael. Clear back by Quincy. Dakai getting a header. McEnany. Roberts. Michael again. That cross sent in by Salim Gumadi, a second half substitute for Rockhurst. Freshman midfielder from Columbia, Missouri. Here's Garavalia. McEnany. McEnany again. Now out on the wing. Here is space. Loses out to Mullen. And Caruso. You see a lot of players in short sleeves. Although the weather, you have to say right now, it has dipped down into the 40s. We mentioned it in the first half, Todd. We're both wearing multiple layers. Our crew is wearing multiple layers as a result of the cold weather.
And I think it's a situation where when you're out there running around, you manage to create enough heat to kind of keep yourself warm. But I'm surprised that some of the players that are coming off the bench haven't been wearing some longer sleeves.
Here's Panarisi back to Gumadi. Out on the wing. This is Matt Collier. Tried to send a pass back into the middle of the field for Mullen. Quincy throw-in with just over a half hour remaining in regulation time. Lone goal came in the 54th minute from Jordan Roberts. And the Laddie goes down, winning a free kick for Quincy. Panarisi judged to have committed the foul, and obviously unhappy Toko, although I think that might have been his assistant, Anton Giramoli.
Either way, one of the coaches wasn't very happy with that, but if you're Rockhurst, you can't put yourself in that kind of situation where you even give the official the right to make a decision right there.
Turnover to Jackson. Getting away from Laddie. Now able to get around Timmerman. Jackson maintaining possession. Cross inside the box. And Michael unable to control. He sends that cross high above the building that sits behind the north goal. And Rockhurst again feeling like they should have found the back of the net with that opportunity.
And you couldn't do much better right there with the run onto it by Caleb Jackson. I mean, he did absolutely everything he was supposed to do on that play. He knocked it around the defender, got himself into the box, crossed it across the face of goal, and the finish just unfortunately wasn't there for the Rockhurst Hawks.
Well, Dakai now off the ensuing goal kick. Got a touch, it bounced right to Radio from about 11 yards out, who's able to cleanly collect for Rockhurst. This is Paul Dean. Will reset for the Hawks. Both these teams having a Friday-Sunday weekend of games. Rockhurst will next be in action on Sunday, October 5th, when they host Truman State, while Quincy continues its road trip to William Jewell College as Michael Timmerman called into action for that clearance from behind. And Rockhurst awarded an attacking throw-in. We'll see a change from both teams. Mitch Moncada back in for Rockhurst and Tommy Kerper in for Quincy. Both players saw action in the first half and are being brought back on in the 61st minute. Craig's throw, it reaches inside the box, headed out by Reese. Sent back in by Mullen. And eventually collected by Duncan. So that's now two opportunities that Rockhurst have had chances with the goal seemingly wide open, but they're unable to direct it into that net.
And those are the kind of chances that you rue if you end up losing this contest. And obviously, Quincy deserves to be in the lead given the way that they've played, given the way that they've possessed the ball. But Rockhurst, on the flip side of that coin, has had just as many opportunities, if not more, and they just haven't had that final ball come right off the foot the way that they would like.
Long throw in downfield. And out on a corner kick awarded to Rockhurst.
And these are the kind of opportunities you have to start taking advantage of. If Quincy is going to give you dead ball opportunities in the attacking third, eventually you've got to at least force a save from Duncan.
It will be Evan Craig to take. On the left foot. Laddie looked like he may have gotten the header on it. And the referee does award a corner kick now at the northwest end to Rockhurst University. Well, we've been talking about national rankings as given out by the NSCAA. Quincy is ranked 10th in the national poll, but they also give out regional polls, and both Quincy and Rockhurst find themselves in the top 5 for the Midwest. Quincy is 2nd, Rockhurst is 5th. Here's the 63rd minute corner, driven all the way past goal, sent back in, and a one-time shot, diving save by Duncan.
And that's what I just talked about. You have to take advantage of those situations that you can't do much better. Obviously, you could place it a tiny bit better, but a one-time shot like that, you at least forced a quality save from the keeper, and you get a chance on goal. You get a bit of that good feeling in your stomach that maybe we got one coming down the pike.
Timmerman's long chip pass finding Ethan Venverlo. Back out to Roberts. Trying to set up across for Tokai. Important header there from Matt Collier. Brilliantly played to force Quincy to reset with an attacking throw-in. And Mike Carpenter is going to go to the bench for a substitution. He will bring back Arden Amini onto the field of play.
That's twice now that head ball goals have been denied by important, timely head ball challenges for the defense. Once by Quincy down here to our left, now to our right over from Rockhurst as they deny the opportunity.
As Mullen will shield Roberts from the ball, allow Radio to take this ensuing goal kick, and you say timely header from a player like Collier. That was the textbook definition of timely, because Tokai was ready and waiting for that cross from Roberts. '65th minute, just over 25 to play regulation time. If Rockhurst do find an equalizer and we are tied after 90 minutes, we will have two 10-minute periods of sudden death golden goal extra time. We were tied after 90 minutes in the women's game earlier tonight, a match we did not broadcast on NSCAA TV, but it was a good one. Plenty of attacking opportunities, as you may have seen from Rockhurst Athletics' official website, or if you listen to our halftime interview with women's soccer head coach Greg Herdlick. Michael out to Moncada, cleared back towards Collier. Here's Venverlo cutting around Craig, around Mullen. Roberts. Back to Timmerman. And a cross headed in. Venverlo did get the back of his head to make contact, but an uncertain direction. Ball bounces for a bit in midair before being collected by Radio. So Quincy not wanting to just sit back on their 1-goal lead, which you would imagine any team in a 1-0 lead scenario would do. They want to find an insurance goal and make sure they get out of Kansas City with a win and keep that unbeaten and untied record intact in 2014.
Yeah, I think Rockhurst probably a bit fortunate that they're not 2-0 down right now, because that ball came right in towards the middle of the box, and everybody in a white jersey just kind of stared at it, assuming that the person next to them was going to do something about it.
Attacking throw-in for Rockhurst. Will reach inside the box in the direction of Michael. Falls to Moncada. Deflected out by Quincy. Sent back into the box. Long cross sent downfield. Intended for Roberts. Now cross back in towards an attacker. One-touch opportunity from Arden Amini. Just slid it past the far post. I think he was expecting a foul to be given after a challenge on Kerper.
Yeah, everybody here on the near sideline for Quincy was calling for the foul. They didn't get it, but in that kind of situation, you got to put that shot away. I know he was trying to go far post, trying to catch the keeper coming across the face of goal and try to slide it past him the other direction, but just tried to slice it a little too fine.
Radio did look to have the angle covered, though, in hindsight, as the ball only sliding wide by the thinnest of margins, but presumably because Radio did not get the touch, as he did take the ensuing goal kick. Here's Venverlo, who has been much more active on the attacking half than he was back in the first. Michael. Trying to spin around is Panarisi. Tries a through ball for Jackson, who is onside, but out comes Duncan, spills it outside the box. Rockhurst keeping possession for the moment. Panarisi dispossessed by Robbie Tays. Man, oh man, what an opportunity for the Hawks right there. And a free kick awarded to Rockhurst in the 69th minute.
And I'm a bit surprised there that the attacking player for Rockhurst didn't go down when Duncan came out and made that slide challenge, because I usually don't advocate that kind of thing, but in that kind of situation, you're right on the edge of the box. The goalkeeper clumsily lunges out with his foot. If you fall down, you at least force the referee to make a decision.
It definitely would bring up a very good argument. Was it a clear goal-scoring opportunity? That would be the main question to answer, as Panarisi trying to fight around a Rockhurst defender and conceding a free kick to Quincy defender, excuse me, I should have said. That was Amini who goes down, as Giovanni Dokai will look to re-enter shortly, as will Claudio Romano for Rockhurst.
Amini went down a little bit easily, but again, the hands up on the back by Panarisi, excuse me, and you can't afford to do that in that kind of situation. The referee's going to give it to the defender all the time.
Gamadi controls, sends it downfield towards Moncada. And a throw-in awarded to Quincy. So we will see the return of Dokai and Romano. Dokai coming on to replace Jordan Roberts. Roberts, the lone goal scorer tonight, back in the 54th minute. His one-time left-footed shot. Stefano Radio did get a hand to it, but the Italian not able to completely deny the Englishman.
It was a heck of a strike right from the middle of the pitch, and there are very few goalkeepers that were going to get more than Radio did on it, much less keep it out.
Here's Jackson. Tried to find Romano. Nearly did. Quincy defense holding firm. Craig takes the throw in at midfield. Wanted to find Panarisi. Turned over back to Quincy. Tays to Kerper. Now Mullen. Bit of a collision there. Both Romano and Vemberlo going to the ground, and a chip pass sent forward intended for Panarisi. Collected right on the edge of the 18-yard box by Drew Duncan, and that's something he might have to be a little bit wary of in the final 18 minutes and change, because he did make that one save to deny Jackson, but he had to let go of the ball quickly because he was right on the edge of the 18-yard box. Very nearly could have been a handball and a free kick awarded to Rockhurst.
Yeah, Rockhurst is going to start sending balls like mad in towards the box as we see another one come across towards the near side. And they're trying to get it a little too fine right now. They need to be a little more direct, try to get that one in towards the path of a player.
Jackson getting the header. Turned back over to Garavaglia. Timmerman. Garavaglia again. Dakai able to shield off Caruso, but the pass too hard for him to control. Dean will send it back uncertainly towards Radio, clears towards Michael. Another double substitution overall, one for each team coming momentarily. Charlie Bame to re-enter for Rockhurst. And Jordan Roberts had a brief water break on the bench for Quincy. Tony Tocco made a lot of attack-minded substitutions in the last few minutes of the first half. That was mostly out of choice. Now we have to assume he'll be making attack-minded substitutions out of a necessity. Vemberlo, the player to make way for Roberts. Sent back into the box towards Panarisi. Cleared out by Laddie. Only as far as Bame, and now going down. Referee has called for a stoppage of play. We might see a card here. And Nick Caruso is the first booking of the night in the 74th minute.
Kind of an interesting decision to commit the foul right there. Obviously, he was trying to challenge for the ball in a roundabout way, but ultimately, when you're that far away from your own goal, you don't necessarily need to be that reckless going in.
Well, for those of you who watch a lot of English Premier League action, you surely may have seen a similar tackle made by Manchester United's Wayne Rooney on what was a similar situation. The counterattack for one team and a captain, or in this case co-captain, stopping that run with a hard foul. Caruso simply getting a yellow card. Rooney was sent off in that match where his instance that I'm referencing. Long ball toward Amini. Back to Laddie. And cleared out by Collier, out for a Quincy throw-in. So final quarter of an hour in about 20-some seconds. Quincy looking for an insurance goal to increase their lead. Rockhurst searching for an equalizer. They've come close several times. They had opportunities in the first half to take the lead, But so far, the only man to find the back of the net, Jordan Roberts, for the 10th time this season. And if that goal stands, it would mean win number 10 for the team ranked number 10 in the country in the NCAA Division II coaches poll.
And that right there, if you're Rockhurst, you can't have that at this point of the game. There was enough opportunity to swing and keep that within play. You're just allowing Quincy to have possession in an attacking position.
There's a tactic that you might expect from Quincy, especially later on in this game, where they'll be surely looking for opportunities to clear in an anywhere will do scenario. McEnany. Here's Moncada. Lost possession now towards Arden Amini. A little bit of a confrontation there between first Craig and then Mullen. Kerper wins it back. McEnany finds Roberts on the left wing. Dokai waits inside the 18-yard box. Roberts, a one-time shot, driven low. Saved safely by Radio in the 77th minute. Venverlo will re-enter at the next dead ball for Quincy. Mullen towards Moncada. Won it off a deflection of Mook. Unable to keep the ball in play, though. Quincy awarded the throw-in, and Venverlo will come back in the 78th minute. He replaces Amini.
And at this stage of the game, substitutions are just as much about keeping fresh legs out there as they are about taking a few extra seconds off the clock as well.
Although there is a limit in college soccer. It's not unlimited, but it is more than 3 per 90 minutes, which is what you see at the professional level. Here's Jackson. Getting around one, but not a second defender. And Quincy's defense again standing firm, finding Roberts now towards midfield. Here's Mullen. Down goes Panarisi. Both the coaches and the fans thinking a free kick should be awarded. The referee thinks otherwise.
I think it was ultimately a good no call. There are situations where you do see that called given the circumstances, but just given the foul itself, I don't think there was enough in it to really warrant a free kick.
Panarisi, I actually should mention, was taken off as a substitute. It was Romano who has been forward as an attacker. Here's Jackson, one-time shot, and a one-handed save by Drew Duncan. How close was Jackson to a team-leading 4th goal of the season in the 79th minute? That shot clearly on target, clearly would have found the back of the net, but for Drew Duncan, the senior from Florissant, Missouri.
And again, Rockhurst, there wasn't much more they could do. They set it up perfectly. Jackson with an absolute rip of a shot. Unfortunately for him, he put it kind of in that mid-range where it's ultimately right where a goalkeeper's going to want it to try to make a diving save.
Panarisi comes on. His first action is to take the goal kick. Duncan got a hand to it, punches it out of bounds, and Rockhurst now have a corner at the northeast corner. 10:25 and counting, regulation time. Evan Craig will take on the left foot. Austin Tierney returns for Rockhurst, the senior midfielder from St. Louis. Previously played at Southern Illinois Edwardsville. Here's Craig on the left foot towards Michael. And again, headed out by a Quincy defender. So it's corner kick time for Rockhurst. It's going to be their 7th of the match, but their 3rd in 2 minutes. I think less than 2 minutes, less than a minute. Panarisi, his corner headed back in, and it will stay at the northwest corner. So Rockhurst with as many corner kicks in the last minute or so as they've had in the first 80 minutes of the match. Will 4th time be a charm? For the Quincy defense, it will be. Duncan collects.
We talked about it towards the beginning of the half, that Rockhurst was kind of living in that danger zone to where too many chances were going the way of Quincy. Now it's kind of going back the other way to where Quincy's kind of living on that edge, allowing the Rockhurst Hawks a few too many opportunities.
Here's Bame getting away from Timmerman for the moment, continuing his run. Cleared out back towards Craig at midfield. Venverlo, a miss-hit header. Deflected and out for a Quincy throw-in. 82nd minute now. Roberts lost the ball from behind. Throw-in awarded to Caruso. Grabbed it essentially from one of the Quincy assistant coaches. You have to feel that's in frustration about getting plays started quickly. Time is most certainly of the essence. As here's Michael. Craig. Quincy can reset with another defending throw-in, and they will do so with under 8 minutes to play in regulation time. 1-0 your score on a 54th minute goal from Jordan Roberts. The only shot to find the back of the net so far. If you've been watching the game from the opening kickoff, you will feel there should be more goals than just the one, but sometimes that's how it goes in soccer, not just at college, but at all levels of the game.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some great saves made by Duncan. Radio has been on top of his game as well. Only one shot that almost no goalkeeper, except maybe at the top elite level, is going to get to. And it's just been a well-played game from both defenses. And ultimately, I do think that there's been, especially on Rockhurst's part, a bit too much of challenging players right in front of you instead of working the pass around the defense.
Well, Quincy certainly made their intentions known from the opening kickoff. As Laddie heads that ball out in defense. Sent back towards midfield. Venverlo with space. McEnany. Long ball down the left wing. Quincy trying to build an attack, and a sliding tackle from behind made cleanly by Collier. That was Venverlo who had the attacking possession on that left wing. And Quincy, this is their 8th corner kick of the match, but only their 2nd of the second half. And instead of Steve McEnany, it's going to be Giovanni Dakai. Cross into the box. No one able to get a firm touch. Cleared out as far as McEnany. Here's MacArthur. Dakai trying to get around Collier, sends it back across, but no Quincy Hawk was there to make contact. And Mitch Mancata comes back on. One more substitution made by Tony Toko. Charlie Bame, the player to make way in the 85th
Toko
minute.
just trying to keep anybody fresh that he can out there because they need as many wheels on the field as possible right now to try to break out.
Again, undefeated Quincy, untied as well, taking on a Rockhurst team that beat Quincy twice in 2013, once in the regular season, once in the Great Lakes Valley Conference Tournament semifinals. Both of those games were in Quincy, Illinois. But QU is less than 5 minutes away from returning the favor. Here's Collier.
Hasn't been too much in the home field advantage between these two teams the past couple seasons, it would seem.
Certainly not if you take the last 2 seasons into account. Here's Mullen. Only 2 outfield players for Rockhurst in the defensive half right now, and even they are walking forward, the 2 center backs, as a one-touch pass from Panarisi goes awry and out for a Quincy defending throw-in. 3 minutes, 56 seconds and counting. That's the time that Rockhurst has to find an equalizer. And you do have time to find a game winner still in regulation time. Dean sending the ball forward towards Michael. Dakai winning the ball back for Quincy. McEnany with a perfect chip down that right wing. It's not to anyone in particular, but I do say perfect because Caruso letting the ball roll out of bounds, just taking more precious seconds off that clock. That is exactly what Quincy wants.
Yeah, originally I wasn't quite sure what he intended because there wasn't anybody within about 10 yards of that. But then when you kind of brought up the point about the time, it actually ended up being a very smart play as they do it right here again.
The only way that chip really could have been better would that be to hook onto a player who continues to run and finishes it off with a goal. But we're now in the 88th minute. Laddie with the header after Radio's clearance towards Jackson. Craig. Caruso, one-touch pass back to Radio. Scrambling a little bit under pressure from Dakai. And an uncertain touch from Radio. Caruso sends it across the halfway line. Sent back out by Timmerman. And a free kick awarded to Quincy. Clock continuing to run. Final 2 minutes of regulation time. Panarisi. Free kick awarded to Rockhurst. We are inside the final 120 seconds. One set of Hawks looking to maintain a 1-0 lead. The other set of Hawks looking for a huge equalizer. Here's Moncada. Cross into the 6-yard box, collected by Duncan. And now look for Duncan to hold on to this ball as long as he legally can. Under 90 seconds remaining in regulation.
And I mean, a lot of credit goes to Roberts for getting the goal, but I think ultimately when this is said and done, if Quincy holds on, they're going to have to go give their goalkeeper a big pat on the back.
Drew Duncan has certainly been called into action tonight and has delivered. We are inside the final minute of regulation. Dakai on the right wing, one-on-one with Dean. And Dakai simply dribbling the ball over to the corner flag, trying to waste as much time as he can, keeping the ball in that corner. Throw-in awarded to Rockhurst. Caruso finding Tierney. Long ball sent in the direction of Panarisi. And Caruso let that ball roll right past him. And now Dakai again settling in that corner. Under 30 seconds to play in regulation. Tierney wins it back. Throw in awarded to Rockhurst. 15 seconds to play in regulation. Turn back over. Mullen towards Michael. And Quincy will hang on for the road victory. A 54th minute goal from Jordan Roberts is all the Hawks need to go on the road to Kansas City and walk out with their unbeaten and untied record still intact. A 1-0 win for Quincy. They improved to 10-0 on the season, 7-0 on the GLVC, and they will go into their Sunday afternoon match at William Jewell with a chance to go to 11-0. Meanwhile, for Rockhurst, it's back to the drawing board as they get set to rebound from this loss, which puts them at 5-3 on the season, 5-2 in the conference. They will look to get back to winning ways on Sunday afternoon when they host Truman State right here at Burke Field. Todd Panula, your final thoughts on this game, because it was a great one in terms of attacking opportunities.
Yeah, both teams had their chances, and unfortunately for Rockhurst, Quincy was the only one that could bury them. An absolute cracker of a shot from Roberts. But ultimately, I think the way the game played out over an entire 90 minutes, it was the result that probably should have happened because Quincy had the better of the possession. Rockhurst had their chances on the counterattack now and then, but ultimately I think Quincy deserved the win. On the flip side, though, Rockhurst doesn't need to hang their head. They're going to be upset with the result. They're not going to be happy with the fact that they've already got 3 losses under their belt at this point in the season when they hardly had that many all last year. But they played a very good game overall. They just need to finish some of those opportunities. And if not for a quality performance from the goalkeeper for Quincy, maybe they have a result here today.
Well, we will take a quick break, come back with some final stats and our final sign-off. But once again, final score from Burke Field in Kansas City. The Quincy Hawks won, the Rockhurst Hawks 0. You've been watching the NSCAA Game of the Week presented by Turbo Sports. We'll take a quick break. See you in a few minutes.
Jesuit core values are with me every single day.
I've learned that you can be successful, but also be ethical at the same time.
Leadership, ethical values, how to be a professional. Rockhurst has helped me become the person that I am today.
Rockhurst University in Kansas City, where you'll gain a global perspective from the heart of the Midwest, where over 25,000 successful alumni call home. Rockhurst, Kansas City's Jesuit University, where leaders learn. Come to Rockhurst University, where you'll be challenged academically, where you'll grow in character and in conscience, where small class sizes, caring professors, and a tight-knit community feel like home. Rockhurst University, where leaders learn.
The NSCAA convention to me is probably the best place to get any sort of education of a wide variety that you can go in the world.
Always nice to see who you wander across in the hallways, might have a quick word with.
So I think it's exciting to meet youth coaches and high school coaches and even college coaches who are all really passionate about the sport.
It's a learning experience. I think it's invaluable both from a coach standpoint and from an administrative standpoint.
Each year, the NSCAA puts over 7,000 coaches through our coaching education program. Youth, high school, and college coaches at all levels participate in the diploma courses. No matter where you are in your coaching path, we have something for you. Join your peers and get educated. Better coaching, better players, better game. NSCAA Coaching Academy. Improving soccer, one coach at a time. Register
Once again, good evening from Burke Field and the NSCAA Game of the Week presented by Turbo Sports. Tonight's game, a game the Hawks were always going to win or draw or lose. It was Quincy and Rockhurst, and at the end of the day, a 54th minute shot from Jordan Roberts getting past Stefano Radio into the back of the net. The Quincy Hawks maintained their perfect record in 2014. They are 10 wins, no losses, no ties. Overall, they are 7-0-0 in the GLVC, while Rockhurst goes to 5-3-0 on the season, 5-2-0 in the conference. And Todd Panullo, it was a fun game overall throughout, even with only the one goal being scored. That doesn't mean it was a slow, defensive-minded game. Both teams had a lot of offensive chances.
Yeah, it started off a little bit more with Quincy trying to slow it up and trying to put their own stamp on the game, and Rockhurst was a little bit slow out of the gates trying to get into this one. But I think that was almost the game plan for Rockhurst, was to try to come out, absorb some of the pressure from Quincy, and then try to spring counterattacks. And we saw them really kind of snowball themselves back into the game. They just couldn't find that final touch, and Quincy was able to do it on the offensive end for themselves, coming up with that big goal midway through the second half. And ultimately, I think it, again, as we said before the break, I think this was probably the result that was most deserved. And we even had some people walking past the broadcast booth during halftime that they kind of thought that this was how it was going to play out, taking nothing away from their own team. Rockhurst played a very solid game. It just wasn't enough in the final third.
Roberts, again, getting his 10th goal of the season. That leads the team. He was the reigning conference offensive player of the week, named on Monday by the GLVC coaches. He could stand to be named for a second consecutive week come next Monday. It will all depend on how the coaches take into consideration this performance and Quincy's next game on Sunday the 5th at William Jewell. Rockhurst will be back in action here at Burke Field on Sunday afternoon when they host Truman State in another GLVC encounter. Meanwhile, taking a look at our upcoming schedule, our next broadcast will come to you tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern when Baker takes on Benedictine in an NAIA Heart of America Athletic Conference matchup. We hope you join us for that, and we also hope you join us on Tuesday, October 7th for a game that was added so late to our schedule we didn't even have time to put it into our broadcast, but we will rejoin you on Tuesday, October 7th for a matchup featuring Brescia and Asbury Universities. That match will take place in Wilmore, Kentucky, just south of Lexington. And then on Wednesday the 8th, Taylor and Indiana Wesleyan. And then we will rejoin you after the Indiana Wesleyan match about a week and a half after that for a doubleheader featuring Division II schools Flagler and Lander. But once again, our final score here from Burke Field, Quincy 1, Rockhurst 0. We thank you for watching this presentation of Turbo Sports Group, the official video streaming production company of the NSCAA Small College Game of the Week. Reminder to log on to our website, turbosportsgroup.com, TOURBEAU, for game highlights, full game replays, and player-specific highlight reels, and for all your video purchasing needs. We thank you for joining us this night. We hope you join us the rest of the season. And a quick reminder to all the coaches watching, you can still register for the 2015 NSCAA Convention in Philadelphia, January 14th through 18th. Be sure to log on to nscaa.com/convention. Now for Todd Ward, Scott Cheney, Todd Panula, Chase Neidig, and our entire NSCAA and TSG crew, I'm Matt Digby. Thank you for watching the Game of the Week. We'll see you tomorrow from Atchison, Kansas. But for now, good night from Kansas City. This has been the TSG Network.